What's up, everybody? Superworks fan here from Mustang. We got the number 35 on this Friday. So, what's new with the Mustang? Well, nothing really. Still just loving the tune, and I'm well over 18,000 miles. I'm halfway to 19,000 now, and so that's it as far as the updates on the Mustang, though. So I know last week's update was really long, so this week I'm going to keep it nice and short, hopefully, here. So yeah, that's it for all the updates on it. Of course, I just reviewed the F-Type today, and so that'll be going live next week. And those of you that follow me on social media can see a picture of the car, and you'll know that I posted that up yesterday. And so yeah, that was amazing. You'll hear all my thoughts in that, but I'm like totally wiped out and exhausted from all the fun I had. It was just like, oh, it was amazing. So anyway, definitely tune in next week for that. But yeah, I'll send back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is Jaguar was spotted testing a hotter version of the F-Type, and we've seen these before, but this one has some more aggressive bodywork now, and it's looking more and more like it's actually going to look like the Project 7 version, and what's probably going to be called as the F-Type SVR, because that's what they're calling all the high-performance Land Rover and Jaguar models. From this point forward, it won't be an RS. They're phasing that out. This will be SVR. And they're saying it's going to probably have 600 horsepower. So, I mean, the F-Type R is fun enough with 550. I couldn't imagine wanting more, but they're giving people more because they're awesome like that. So, thank you, Jaguar. Cannot wait for that to actually be released. Speaking of testing on the Nürburgring and things like that, there's a rumor here that they're going to go back and get rid of those speed limits on the Nürburgring that were, you know, killing all the chances of lap records currently. And so this is just saying that they're just considering removing the speed limits. Of course, I think it's really bad for business, and the people that run the Nürburgring probably know that, and probably just can't, you know, withstand the loss of having all these manufacturers not testing on the Nürburgring anymore, or at least not doing the lap records. So this whole thing might end up being reversed, and we might get back to the good old days whenever everyone was setting lap times on the Nürburgring. So we'll see, but that's just a rumor for now. And a couple stories from Lamborghini this week. The first is that there's a report here exclusively from Autoblog saying that Lamborghini says they're in no rush to turbocharge their supercars. So they said the upcoming Lamborghini Urus could get a turbocharged engine, but they're not going to turbocharge, you know, the Aventador or the Huracan or any of those, which is good to hear because, you know, with Ferrari putting a turbo on the 488 GTB and stuff, everyone's a little worried, but Lamborghini says they're sticking with naturally aspirated engines for a while. So that's very good to hear and very commendable of them. And the other story about Lamborghini is the Urus that I just mentioned earlier. There's another exclusive report here saying that the Urus is going to stay true to the concept. So that means it's going to look a lot like the concept, hopefully. And they said that, you know, it has been greenlit, it's definitely going to be made. They said that plug-in hybrid electric power plants or a turbo or both could work its way into the Urus, and it would be the only Lamborghini to have those things, but that's still just all being debated, and that's not nailed down yet. But this car is coming, I think they said in 2017, so they don't have a whole lot of time, but whatever they end up doing, I'm sure it's going to be epic. Speaking of performance brands with SUVs, Lotus's chief head of operations or whatever, he just promised that the SUV that Lotus decided to make instead of the awesome new sports cars, he said that it'll be true to the brand. Lotus normally is lightweight, high performance, so you know, it's kind of hard for an SUV. They're normally not lightweight, and you could make it lightweight, but then it wouldn't be a very good SUV. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with this, but he's trying to, you know, I guess calm everyone down, you know, and making it seem like Lotus isn't selling out, you know, and hopefully they aren't. Hopefully it is a very good performance SUV, but I think everyone was hoping for an Esprit and stuff like that, and that's not happening, at least not for a while. So, but hopefully that SUV brings Lotus to more profitable times soon so they can get back to doing the sports cars again. You remember last week how I was talking about Red Bull, there were rumors that they're making their own supercar, and there's a follow-up report this week saying that Red Bull's working with Aston Martin to make a supercar. So they're teaming up together. I don't know if it would actually take on the Aston Martin name or if they're just buying tech off Aston Martin, kind of like how Aston Martin's buying tech off Mercedes. We'll have to see how that all pans out, but again, these are all just reports and, you know, rumors and things like that. But they're saying that, you know, it could be like a hardcore track-focused supercar, and, you know, it could be kind of like the Aston Martin Vulcan, except a Red Bull version or something. Something like that. It'd be interesting to see what they end up doing, but again, this is all just a bunch of rumors and reports. We'll wait and see what they actually end up doing, if anything at all. And for some stuff that was spied this past week, first is Lincoln was out testing the new 2017 Continental, which based on the spy photos looks very, very similar to the concept, which is awesome to see, and that's always refreshing to see that, you know, they're actually keeping it as cool as the concept, and it looks just about the same proportions. From what we can barely tell, it looks like it's still going to have the same great LED headlamps and same bold grille and elegant taillights as well. And they even got a few shots of the interior, which looks basically like it's the same design as the concept car. There's a lot less chrome and bling on it, but that could be because it's a development mule, or they're just toning down on it for production. I really liked all that bright work on the inside though, so I hope they keep that for the production version. And this dumbed down, you know, mule just doesn't have all the bling, which would totally make sense. But either way, it's shaping up to be a great car, and I can't wait for the production version to be released next year. Another awesome 2017 car that Mercedes actually gave Autoblog this inside scoop about it this past week, and that's the 2017 Mercedes-Benz E-Class, which is all camouflaged up here, but they actually showed what the headlights are going to look like, and there's all kinds of super high-tech stuff in this car. And instead of paraphrasing it, I'm just going to read straight from the Autoblog article here, just a little excerpt of some of the things that it has. The first thing is, this doesn't come to America, but for the rest of the world, it's going to have remote control parking via a smartphone app. So this car will literally pull itself out of the garage, park itself into a space. You can just hop out and forget about a valet. The car will park itself. So it's basically like a built-in valet. So that's pretty amazing. It also is going to have NFC-based lock and unlock features, so you can do everything with your smartphone. You don't actually need a physical key. You can use your phone as the key, and that is very cool. It also has 84 LED adaptive headlights, so very high-tech. I'm not even sure how that all works, but they're also going to have evasive maneuverability and evasive assist. So, you know, if, for example, a pedestrian hops out in front of you, it'll automatically swerve, is what I'm understanding here from this, which is pretty crazy. And then, you know, it has adaptive cruise control, which is very cool. I was very fascinated by that in the Hyundai Genesis sedan that I just reviewed this past week. But it takes it one step further. It says that it will set the road speeds based off the speed limit signs. So whenever you're going down the highway, if it sees a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit sign, it'll set it to 55. I'm hoping you can disable that, because if this car will only drive itself at the actually indicated speed limit, that's not going to be, I think, very popular. But it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. The other thing, though, about the adaptive cruise control that's very cool is it's also going to incorporate adaptive steering that can actually follow a car in front of you even if there aren't road lines. And so, you know, it's kind of similar like what you saw in the Genesis review that I did, where, you know, you follow a car, but this, it actually steers for you and also makes sure you're staying within a reasonable, you know, boundary, I suppose, without using any lanes, which is extremely high-tech, very, very cool, and shows us we're getting close to fully autonomous cars, which is amazing. So that's cool. It also has emergency braking for cross-traffic, has rear seatbelt airbags, which some other cars have had in the past. It also has an air bladder that pushes front seat occupants closer to the middle of the car, so if you're in some kind of accident, it'll kind of give you a little shove, because I guess it's safer the more inside of the car you are, which is interesting. And another really wacky but impressive thing is it has an audio system that triggers your eardrum's reflexes to prevent hearing damage in a crash. So I guess, you know, loud things happen when you get in bad accidents, and so it'll have some kind of signal it sends out that makes your ears want to close up, so it like protects your eardrums. Crazy, crazy stuff. Very high-tech and innovative. I don't understand half of it, but it all sounds amazing. And so, yeah, they're saying that the technology in vehicles is just progressing so quickly that they said this is actually going to be higher tech than the S-Class, because the S-Class is only 2 years old now, but it's already outdated with technology because of how fast everything's moving. So I'm assuming once all this stuff debuts in the E-Class, it will also be incorporated into a refreshed S-Class very soon after. But for right now, it's coming in the new E-Class for 2017, and that is very impressive. Some more impressive news is BMW's been working with hydrogen-powered vehicles, and so the hydrogen generator powers an electric motor, so it's like an electric car, but it uses a hydrogen fuel cell, and they're working on this new one that has 245 horsepower, and they're saying they want to put these things on the market by the next decade sometime, and it'll go 300 miles before refueling, so it gives you all the perks of a Tesla of having electricity and whatnot, but you don't have to, take forever for it to charge up like the Teslas do. I'm sure they're going to work that out soon. But in the meantime, this actually has a lot of promise, and so it's very exciting to see that. And some other hydrogen-related news, I suppose. There's also BMW officially this past week debuted their 1 Series prototype that has direct water injection. You would think that putting water into the engine would be a bad thing, but not in this case. I don't know who came up with this, but it's a pretty intelligent thing here. So basically what it does is it sprays a fine mist of water right into the combustion chamber, but it mixes it with the gasoline a little bit, but not enough that it messes anything up apparently. They say it evaporates immediately, it helps cool the engine from the inside, and it runs at a higher efficiency, and so it's kind of crazy because it'll also give you better fuel economy in the way that you can actually change the tune of the engine, and with turbocharged engines you can actually run them differently so that they're more powerful and more efficient with this cooler temperatures. It actually cuts down on engine knocking as well, and so there's all kinds of perks of this. And they said on top of it, since it's a water tank, you're going to think you have to fill it up or something. They said that it just takes the condensation from the air conditioning condenser whenever the car is off and collects that water that if you've ever, seen a car with air conditioning on just sitting there running, it drips water onto the ground. And so it collects that water and replenishes itself. So it never really needs filled up unless you're in some crazy extreme climate or something. So that is very, very clever, and that's something that could be coming to cars much sooner than the whole hydrogen thing as well. So that's very, very interesting, and never know what they're going to come up with next. And the last BMW story this week is something that's not such great news, and that's about their performance vehicles. So as you can see from the previous two stories, BMW is very focused on their efficiency and high-tech ways to drive without burning and things like that. So their performance stuff may not be the total focus. The M cars are still spectacular. I love them all. But BMW, in an interview with one of their executives, said that the manual transmission isn't looking like it has a lot of promise and that it's probably not going to be around forever, which is something we all know. But he's just saying that they know that BMW drivers, a lot of them still want a manual, so they're going to keep the manual around until people decide they don't want them anymore, but they said they don't know how long they're going to keep them around for. They will for the immediate future, but probably not for a long time. So they're kind of not committed to the manual is what we're kind of getting from this story. There's been other people that have said that they're going to offer manuals forever and they're sticking with them and that's it. BMW is not one of them. They're saying that they could eventually become phased out, and so that's kind of unfortunate. Another thing they said is that they're capping their M cars at 600 horsepower. The reason why is they said at that point the car gets too powerful and it goes beyond the limits of what they want them to do. So that's interesting because there are certainly other cars out there with more than 600 horsepower that are still plenty of fun. And I think this is really going to open it up to the competition. Mercedes isn't afraid to go over that, and neither is Audi. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I'm sure the M cars will continue to get lighter and more efficient and very good at handling and whatnot, but 600 horsepower sounds like the limit. So the current M5, the commemorative final edition of this current generation, is already at 600 horsepower. So that means for the new M5, don't expect more than 600 horsepower, which, 600 horsepower isn't like, oh no, that's so slow, but still, it's kind of unfortunate they're capping their cars at that, but it is what it is, and everyone else just has an opportunity to capitalize on it. Last car that was spied this week was the 2016 Toyota Prius, which is very close to being released. And this is heavily camouflaged, so it's probably wrong for me to even guess at what it's going to look like. But based off of this image, it does not look good. It looks like it's going to be downright hideous, but I'll keep an open mind. It is a Prius after all, though, so I'm not too optimistic anyway. But it is what it is. And so yeah, they're testing those, and they should be coming out very soon. And the last story this week is Fiat has revealed updated Fiat 500s for overseas. We'll probably be getting the same updates here in America at some point, but for now it's just for Europe. But it looks good. You know, they just have different headlights slightly in the front, different taillights in the rear, different wheels. It has a 5-inch Uconnect touchscreen there inside now, and it looks a little bit more modern. And I think Fiat knows not to mess with success, and they know they have a good thing. It's a cute little retro car, and they're going to keep it as that, which is good to see. So I think that's really smart of Fiat, and good for them. So anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So send back to me in the car. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. And here we go. My fiance holding on to the camera this time, and I forgot my suction cup mount, so we had to make the best of what we had. But hope you guys still enjoyed that, and I'll see you next week. Take care.
Take care.